Hello everybody, I am Sangamitra, Assistant Professor in the Department of Textiles and Clothing. Today we would like to see on the topic consumers and retailers, store presentation and layout under fashion designing and apparel industry. You know, consumers are the basic persons or the basic of any industry or business. The retailer has to understand the needs of the consumers, and it is of vital importance that a retailer or the apparel industry must understand or must identify the needs of customers or the consumers, and they have to understand the various techniques involved in store presentation and store layout. To understand and identify the issues related to consumers and retailers enable you to understand the functions of retailers and to make you understand the role of store layout in retail business and to evaluate various techniques for store presentation. When we talk about consumers are the one that consumes, that's especially one that acquire goods or services for their direct use or their personal use or for their own ownership rather than for resale or to use it for production or manufacturing. In other words, consumer is a person who acquires goods or services for his or own personal needs. So we can segment these consumers under four major categories based on their behavior pattern, such as the buy for on consumers, stability seeking consumers, get my money's worth consumers, and time buying consumers. So what is consumer behavior? Consumer behavior is all about understanding how people choose to spend their money and time in buying and consuming various goods and services that they desire. In the retail context, retailers would be specifically more interested to gain an insight into the customer's shopping behavior, which involves an understanding to gain an insight into the customer's decision-making variables regarding when and where and what to buy. Such decision variables are the factors which should be considered by retailers while they frame their business strategies. Now we'll look into the factors that affect the consumer decision-making. The consumer decision making may be affected by four factors such as demographic, psychological, environmental, and lifestyle. What are demographic factors? Demographic factors are very unique to a particular person. They are objective and quantifiable and easily identifiable population data such as sex, income, age, marital status, etc. They also involve identification of who is responsible for the decision making or buying and who is the ultimate consumer, for example in Saravana stores or in Shoppers Stop. Then we talk about psychological factors. Psychological factors are intrinsic or inner aspect of an individual. An understanding of a consumer psychology guides the retailer's segmentation strategy. For example, consumers respond differently towards same retail market mix due to their respective motives, personality, perception and learning, and level of involvement, and maybe also due to their attitude. And we talk about environmental factors. These environmental factors cover all the physical and social characteristics of a consumer's external world, which includes physical objects such as goods and outlets, spatial relationships such as location of shopping centers and merchandise in stores, and the social factors such as opinion leaders or the persons in a family or co-customers, reference groups, friends, social class or the culture. Then comes the lifestyle factors. The lifestyle refers to an individual's mode of living as identified by his activities, interest and opinion. Lifestyle variables have been measured by identifying a customer's day-to-day activities and interest. Lifestyle is considered to be highly correlated with consumer values and personality. An individual lifestyle is influenced, among other things, by the social group he or she belongs to and by his occupation. For example, a double income no kids family in metros shop very regularly at the super malls because of the limited time at their disposal, and they also look for entertainment while they are shopping. At the same time, they are higher spenders than in single income families. Khadar, popular store in Bangalore, specializes in dresses for women owned by a Kolkata based company. It is a fine example of trying to incorporate the cultural values of Indian women in their garments. This industry or this company has noticed a significant characteristics among Indian women who buys extra large garment size group. Women in this size category do not want the contours of their body to get highlighted and are consciously looking for dresses that would conceal them. Hence, This type of segmentation or this type of identification may help them to market their goods effectively. Based on the study regarding dress preference of working Indian women by imagesfashion.com, different brands have emerged. In ethnic wear, there are just a handful of quantity brands like Nalli, Kumarans and Bombay Selection. They have positioned themselves to meet the demand of ethnic wear at family and festival occasions, since most of the Indian women needs are varied based on their working conditions or based on their family needs. On the other hand, W, a women's store, and Kader are trying to infuse global styling and design functionality with salwar kameez. So next we come to retailer. As we know, retailer has to cater to these varied groups or these consumers' needs who are very varied and very demanding. Who is a retailer? A retailer is a person who is an agent or agency, company or organization which is instrumental in reaching the goods or merchandise or services to the ultimate customer. The distribution of finished products begin with the producer and it ends at the ultimate consumer. Between the two of them is this middleman we call the retailer. Define retailing as a set of activities or steps used to sell a product or a service to consumer for their personal or family use. Retailers perform specific activities such as anticipating customers' wants, developing assortments of products, acquiring market information and financing. In this era of globalization, liberalization and highly aware customers, a retailer is required to make a conscious effort to position himself distinctively to face the competition. Retail business is the largest private industry in the world, ahead of finance and engineering. In India, retailing is the second largest employer after agriculture. But it is highly fragmented and consists predominantly of small, independent and owner-managed shops. There have been a boom in retail trade in India owing to the gradual increase in the disposable income of the middle-class households. Customers are looking for ambience and convenience in shopping. This is likely to continue more strongly in the coming years. In the future, more dual-income families, the customer's ability to spend will increase. But at the same time, it is predicted the time available for shopping will go down. In such a shopping experience, the more successful retailer will be those who would provide quicker service. When we talk about the setup or the organizational structure of a retailer, it can be based on an independent store, that is a small store, or based on a large scale retailing. So first one is the organization of an independent store retailer. The owner or managers of a small store may themselves constitute the entire organization and may hire employees as sales increase. However, coordinating and managing employee activities is easier in a small store than in a large store. The owner manager simply assigns tasks to each employee on a day-to-day basis and ensures that these tasks are performed properly. Since the number of employees are limited, small retailers have little specialization and each employee must perform a wide range of activities while the owner is responsible for the management tasks. Besides the management of the store, the owner is also responsible for the administrative tasks irrespective of the size of a retail operation. All tasks of a retail company may be divided into 4 major divisions such as strategic management, merchandise management, store management and administrative management. We talk about large store retailer. In contrast to small store retailers, large store retailers is fairly complex structure. Most retail chains have an elaborate senior management that includes a CEO, directors, presidents, vice presidents, etc. All of them work closely together in taking strategic decisions and in managing the entire organization. The tasks of all 4 divisions of a retail operations, as mentioned, are divided among the senior management who are responsible for their respective divisions. Large retail chains lay philosophically and try to function strictly in accordance with the latter. However, large or small an operation or a store may be, the management are categorized into 4 divisions such as strategic management, merchandise management, administrative management and store management. What is strategic management? Strategic management includes main tasks such as developing a retail strategy, identifying the target market, determining the retail format, designing the organizational structure and selection locations. Next comes the merchandise management. The merchandise division of a chain store retail is responsible for selecting and buying the merchandise stored in the stores and ensure that the quality, fashion, assortment and pricing of the merchandise is consistent with the firm's strategy. The major task of this includes buying merchandise, identifying vendors, evaluating the best of them, negotiating with the vendors and placing orders. And when controlling the merchandise, it involves developing merchandise budget plans, ensuring timely delivery to store and reviewing open to buy stock positions. Under pricing merchandise, it involves setting initial prices and adjusting prices. The third one is the store management. The store division is responsible for all the activities undertaken in company's facilities where the merchandise is actually sold and services provided to the customer. Depending on the size of a store manager, a general manager or even a store director is appointed to head the operations at the store level. The operations at the store level are usually divided into 4 main functions such as personnel administration, selling, which includes the following functions such as recruiting and training the store personnel, planning work schedule, evaluating the performance of store personnel, maintaining store facilities, locating and displaying merchandise, assisting customers in selection, repairing and altering merchandise, providing services such as gift wrapping and home delivery, handling customer complaints efficiently, ensuring accurate inventory, taking physical inventory and preventing inventory shrinkage. We talk about administrative management. This includes the responsibilities of administrative division including marketing, human resources, logistics and finance. The functions may be summarized as planning communication programs, developing an advertising budget, planning special promotions, designing special displays, overseeing public relations, managing human resources. Under this, developing a HRD policy, recruiting, hiring and training managers, planning career paths, maintaining merchandise to vendors. Next, distribution of merchandise. Selecting warehouse locations, receiving merchandise, marking and labeling merchandise, storing merchandise, distributing merchandise to the stores and returning merchandise to the vendors. Establishing financial control. Here, providing timely information on financial performance, forecasting sales, cash flow, profits, raising capital from investors, billing customers and providing credit. It has been the general practice of dividing the overall organization structure into retail chains for a long time, irrespective of their size and format. However, with the passage of time and change in retail environment, many companies have evolved newer and more innovative methods of designing their organization. Regardless of the extent of the change, the overall functions and job allocations remain on similar lines. Store layout. In store layout, the situation is changing. Many retail organizations have upgraded their stores substantially. Others have created stores with altogether new look. The customers are quick to recognize when they are offered better value for money in a dignified environment. It is now being felt more than ever before in our country that retailers must create exciting store designs and neat and innovative merchandising techniques so as to enable to draw the people for shopping. In this era of virtual shopping on internet, the need to attract the customers have become more important than ever. The following points must be kept in mind while designing in retail store. The atmosphere being created in the store must be consistent with the store's image and overall strategy. Since the purpose of a good store design is to help influence the customer's purchase decision, all efforts should be aimed in this direction only. And the designer of the store must keep in mind both the initial cost as well as the subsequent recurring maintenance cost. It is also imperative to ensure easy and regular maintenance of the store from time to time. A store must be exciting in all respects to be able to motivate the customer to visit it again. Many retailers around the world prefer to implement the strategy of a store as theatre concept and conceive their store as a theatre itself, where the items of merchandise can be equated to the characters of a play and the lights and visual communication treated as the sets. While designing a store, retailers must consider the 7 fundamental objectives. The 7 fundamental objectives of a store are consistency with the store image. Both the internal and external design and decoration of the store must be consistent with the image of the store and what it wishes to communicate to the general public. Second one is the selection of family fixtures. The type of fixtures, furniture, shelving racks and flooring must not clash and should harmonize with each other. Third one is need to influence customer shopping. Retailer should constantly evaluate his store layout and visual merchandising techniques in terms of the impact that it might have in influencing the customer's decision, so that the retailer would tend to make less mistakes and would always be able to keep customer interest foremost in his mind. Next is return on investment. A retailer must be certain that all his decisions ensure proportionate returns and that the recurring cost and hassles of maintenance are also affordable. Fifth one must be modular. The entire store must be designed in a more or less modular arrangement to ensure that any subsequent changes in the layout or design of the store do not lead to wastage and can be conducted smoothly. The design of the store must be adapted to many types of merchandise as well as be economically useful for several years. The sixth one is cost effectiveness. All electrical equipment used in the store must be energy efficient, as energy costs are a major component of recurring expenditure in retail operation. The last one is the optimization of floor space. The store plan must strike an ideal balance between optimizing floor space and encourage customer traffic. The store layout must not create an impediment in the smooth flow of customer traffic, as this could frustrate customers as many hurt them physically. In the store layout, the type of store layout plays an important part. The types of store layout. Many elements need to be considered in the design of store layout to help achieve the ultimate objectives of the store. Broadly, there are 3 general store layouts, namely grid layout, open layout and running layout. Grid layout. A grid layout may be described as series of long aisles of merchandise displayed in a respective manner. Grocery stores or supermarkets are usually organized in a grid design which permits them to stock and display as much merchandise as possible in an orderly and logical sequence. Apart from this, grid layout is also cost effective in both in terms of cost and shelving racks used as well as the extent of wastage of prime space. This also enables the layout to be fairly flexible, and the multiple and adjustable shelves in the rack help to optimize the store space. A grid layout is also considered to be much safer than the other designs in terms of security aspect, which is especially important aspect in the case of supermarkets, which deal in a large number of small and flipper-prone packs of merchandise. Rack track store layout. This type of store layout ensures the fulfillment of retailers' main objective of getting customers to visit the store's multiple departments, thereby enhancing the sales of the store. This is also known as loop. A racetrack layout used in departmental stores is usually a category or department-wise layout in which every manufacturer is allotted a separate space, which is why a store with such a layout is often called a shop-in-shop store. This is evident from the fact that each of these so-called boutiques or shops are usually not separated by brick walls but by the color combination of the carpeting, flooring and the decor they use to symbolize their strong individual brand presence. In a racetrack layout, there is usually a major aisle from where the customer is able to access many of such open shops, which in turn also encourage impulse purchases. The customer to view many of the attractive shots from the single location, unlike the grid layout where one is able to view a single aisles only. The third one is free-form layout. A free-form layout is more popular with specialty stores, and the design of such a layout is synonymous with its name. Such stores are organized in a rather asymmetrical manner with the objective of making up market customers feel at home. There is abundant open space with very little and selective furniture and fixtures, but of very expensive taste. Such an environment not only helps the retailer in providing a very personalization touch to the customers, but also encourage the latter to carry on browsing in a very relaxed browsing, which hopefully for the retailer will culminate in added sales for the store. We talk about the store presentation now. After the store layout, store presentation plays an important role. It is often said that retailing is a highly organized business and the merchandise must be very logically organized to foster a sense of convenience as well as excitement among customers for the retailer to succeed in his operation. Innumerable display and presentation techniques are used in retail stores all over the world, some of which have been proved very profitable. The most important thing in a store presentation is visual merchandising. It has been observed that human beings are prone to exploring usually from left to right and from top to bottom. Be it a newspaper or a book or a shelf, it is inevitably explored from this pattern. Vertical merchandisation takes advantage of this aspect of human nature by displaying merchandise vertically through the use of walls or even high gondolas, and by strategically shelving products with high profit margins either towards the right side of the shelf or towards the bottom. Next is the category wise presentation. Retailers usually have organized stores that usually display merchandise very logically so as to offer maximum convenience to the customer. Most stores arrange all the merchandise on the shelves on a category as well as department wise basis so that their customers may be able to view the entire variety available in the respective category department at a glance. This would obviously great help to the customer in taking decision and would in return benefit the retailer as well. All the categories and department have placards that are hung at a height from the ceiling so to inform the customers even from a distance where they can find each department. The second one is the tonnage merchandising. Here, stock it high and let it fly is a common saying in retailing. Tonnage merchandising is an extremely effective display technique where large quantities of the same product are displayed together to create an impression of bargain. This technique is popular among the masses. A garment retailer or a discount store would usually have a large number of clothes for the same customer segment bundled into a large bin or even spread across a table at a sale at subsequently reduced prices. Next is the exclusive displays. All items cannot necessarily enjoy the same level of display in a retail store. For example, casual clothes for women cannot be displayed with as much emphasis as an exclusive designer dresses. This is because the low margin or the high turnover nature of casual clothes does not necessarily warrant a highly exclusive display while designer dresses does. Specially fabricated gondolas. Specially designed gondola may be described as self-service island with multiple tiers of shelves, bins or pegs, usually very strongly representing a particular brand. However, manufacturers have to pay the store quite substantially or prove that they are also of benefit to their retailer for creating such displays even for a limited period. Impulsive purchase. Another common marketing trick is that some merchandise is also displayed at the checkout area. Items that are usually displayed at such locations are known as impulse merchandising. Many retailers also adopt a deliberate strategy to force customers to pass through aisles that stock such inexpensive impulse items only to be ultimately met by the rather expensive category of products which customer requires a tremendous amount of willpower to avoid. These products help in creating impulse purchases which are made by the customer at the last minute despite no prior planning for such purchases. Since most of these items are low value, high profit margin items, their sales enhance the profitability of the store. The area of the checkout counters is more profitably utilized by displaying such items. Many essential and high demand items which would otherwise be classified as pilferage prone products can also be sold in this manner as they are displayed under the constant watchful gaze of the cashiers. Next is the live setting presentation. Under live setting presentation, very often one has noticed that retailers display merchandise to effectively demonstrate to the customers how a particular combination would look for. For example, ladies department in a store would probably have certain statue model actually wearing a particular combination of clothes, so that customers buy not only one item but is encouraged to buy the complete set as well to achieve a similar effect as that of the model. Shop-in-shop displays. Many strong and powerful brands prefer to display most of their later merchandise at one place under their own brand banner, so that customer may be encouraged to buy multiple items of the brand. Such a concept within a large departmental store is often termed as shop-in-shop concept of display. Promotional areas. Under customers all over the world love promotions, as they share a general feeling that they get more value for their money during such promotions. Customers thus making it a point to specially visit a fixed promotion area or an aisles where visiting a store. Enhancing on this excitement among its customers, retailers strategically prefer to locate their promotion areas towards the end of the store, so as to compel customers to explore literally the entire store in the hope that they might pick up some more items on their way to the promotion area. Fresh produce at the entrance. Fresh produce has an excellent refreshing effect, and the location of this department towards the entrance of a supermarket instills a positive feeling in the customer. This has a tremendously positive impact for the retailer, which is reflected not only in the sales achieved by the fresh produce department but in the sales of the entire store. To conclude on consumers and retailers, in this era of globalization and consumerism, the consumers are becoming more demanding and more aware or critical. Hence, the retailer must be in shape or effective to attract the customers, make use of proper or effective store presentations and layouts, and he should be aware of the latest technologies available in order to attract the consumers, so as to increase this business. The consumers or the lifespan or the main fundamental for any business, hence consumers' behavior has to be kept in mind always.